It's art that reflects America as much as a Norman Rockwell painting, more so even around these parts. Inside this bright modern space, comedy legend turned arts patron Cheech Marin has built a museum where the art reflects the lives, dreams, and perspectives of the tens of millions of Americans of Mexican heritage, or Chicanos.
It is a viewpoint of America and American population that a lot of people don't ever get to see if they don't travel out of their own locale. They don't get out of New York or Minnesota or North Dakota or something. And then they get to the Southwest and they go, oh, it's really different than New England. Really, that's what makes America great. And they have their own art and literature and culture, but still at the same time being part of the greater American narrative that they're taught in school, But here's another narrative that goes along with it.
He says Chicano artists never gave up the brush, a handmade painterly tradition that has resisted trends and keeps the work grounded in skill and touch.
What is the one thing that people still get wrong about Chicano art?
It doesn't have to have a cactus and a guy in a big sombrero sleeping under it to be Chicano art. That was the concept before, the ability to do that. So the Chicano artists, by means of sticking to the brush, have become great painters, and there's a lot of great painters in this collection, a lot.
What do you think that having Chicano art in a space like this gives this community, gives a family of mixed status, or gives like the child of a farm worker when they see a space like this?
Oh, they feel great pride because if they ever go into other museums, they don't see that in other museums. It's unique. This is the first Chicano museum, and it's here in Riverside. It's not in New York or Los Angeles or wherever else. It's here in Riverside.
Riverside, a city at the heart of California's Inland Empire, where nearly half the population is Latino, and Mexican culture is everywhere.
You have a part of this museum that is dedicated to community artists.
Uh-huh.
What has that done for the community?
What is done to the community is say, okay, we can be in museums, because that's every artist's dream or goal. Is I want to be in a museum, and I want my work to be in a museum, and it verifies them for that. Because being a Chicano means that they have planted their flag here in this country because they're born here, or like myself and my brothers and sisters and cousins, or my parents were born here. My grandparents all came from Mexico, and it's what it says is we're planting our flag because all of our experience, virtual experience, is here in this country. Our roots are in Mexico, and we're very proud of those, and you see that verified in the work that they do. But we are of both countries, at the same time, but our flag is planted here. We are part of this culture.
He sees art as a form of citizenship, a way for Mexican Americans to claim space in a country that hasn't always welcomed them.
Hey, get over here, somebody, I'm an American citizen.
In your 1987 movie, Born in East LA, you play an American citizen who is arrested during an ICE raid in downtown Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. I am curious about how you felt in the past few months when all of that played out again in front of our eyes.
So it's played out many times already, and it's just curious that we have not adapted laws or programs to enshrine that. That's and how we depend on Mexican culture, and always have, because it's a traditional path, and somehow made it other. They're not other in the foxholes, in the trenches when they're out fighting wars.
What are the risks then of the sanitation of art, this moment that we're living now, where so many museums are being asked to not dwell on the ugly parts of American history.
Yeah.
What does that mean for curators and directors? And I guess my question to you is, what do they owe the public in this moment?
What do we owe the public? We owe the public the presentation of the narrative of their culture. In the way that they want, not being defined by some outward force, being defined by themselves. And so they, that makes a big difference when somebody else is writing your story. The first big tour we did, the Chicano Visions, we played all big museums because that was the only way I would do it, because it was time. It was time to come in through the front doors with the banners waving and the trumpets blaring, because it was time to announce that in the biggest stages we had in the country. And then after that, and we broke attendance records in every single museum, Smithsonian, the LACMA, all the ones that we did from all the, and so it was a great deal to have that acceptance. And now in the opening year, the first year we were open here, we were voted one of the top 50 museums in the world.
That exhibit was among the top 50 in the world in 2022.
Congratulations. How does that feel?
It's like making the long shot, from half court. Your first shot, and it was the number one museum was the Donatello Museum in Florence. We're in an elite group now, to be thought of. In that way, so we're it's like watching baseball get taken over by the Japanese. I mean, I love when Shohei Ohtani gets up to play to the bat or becomes a pitcher or steals his 50th base, It's based because I love baseball, and no matter who plays it, So I love art no matter who makes it, and I'm knowledgeable about art from an early age. I started studying art.
Hearing you talk about it, though, it brings to mind something that I've heard time and again from Latino artists, from Latino makers of any kind, which is that we feel like we can't quite get to the big league, or that we're being told, we're being held back, or we're just not quite as good as other people. How do you get over that?
You don't believe it in the first place. That's what you don't believe it in the first place. I never believed that. Having the opportunity, and this is an opportunity. This museum is up, and there's others, and they're coming fast and furious on our heels. So it'll be as American as McDonald's before you know it.
Is that your dream? Is that your prediction?
Oh yeah. It's not a dream anymore. It's a reality. So, if you like art, you'll come and check it out.